The Mazda 2 is the baby of the Mazda range in South Africa. Essentially, it's been around for quite a long time, but it has had a few updates and a few minor changes along the way. And it had one after our last test about 18 months ago that we did on the 2. Obviously, very distinctive large Mazda badge in the front. And you'll notice that the headlights got slimmed down quite considerably, and you've got LED projection headlights at the front. You've got things like that, and you've got this little bib spoiler, can we call it, down at the front over there. This is the top of the range individual model. You get active, dynamic, individual. And what's interesting here is that active and dynamic offer you the choice of either a 6-speed manual or 6-speed auto transmission, whereas individual comes in automatic only. Very neat looking little car, and you can see these are nice, what they call dual tone 16-inch alloy wheels on here that give you a nice comfortable ride as well. The Mazda 2 is a B segment hatch. It's unashamedly a small car, very sporty looks to it. You can see, for example, quite a slope down to the C pillar over there. So let's have a look at what the accommodation looks like. You notice there that I just pressed the button because individual spec does give you keyless entry and keyless start as one of the features. Now jumping inside. Driver's seat set for myself as usual. Legroom's reasonable. Headroom's good with my hat on. So I can't complain about the space in the back. Mazda, I would like to see at least one USB for the rear seat passengers. But that's a little detail. I'm not going to say too much about it. Individual spec, just for example, does give you the combination of leather and Alcantara on the seats with red striping, the red pin striping on it as well, red detailing. So it is very neat, and it does give a pretty upmarket feel to the interior as well. So that's always useful, always nice. Come around to the rear, press over here to pop open the boot, and well, this may just, I'm not going to climb in today, but it may just rate as a 1 Allen boot. It's not very big, but you can, of course, drop the rear seats 2/3. 1/3, as you'd expect, and then I did manage to get family luggage in the back, like that. And you've got a space saver spare wheel under the boot board. At least you do have one. I can't complain there. Close the rear tailgate, and you'll see that's the very important badge over there that says Sky Active G. In Mazda speak, the G stands for gasoline or petrol, which says that the whole Mazda 2 range is powered by a 1.5 litre 4-cylinder naturally aspirated petrol engine, giving you 85 kilowatts and 148 newton meters of torque, with, as I said, that choice of manual or auto gearboxes driving the front wheels. It's quite peppy for a car as small as this. You'll see it in a few minutes on the road, and we'll check out the interior.
Hello, my name is Michael. I'm the owner of Change Cars and the host of the TV show All Things Motoring. I have one mission, and that is to make a difference to the motoring public. Making a difference how? Making sure that you have safe options, making sure that you have knowledge. In that regard, it is my absolute pleasure and privilege to work with Alan Rosenmeyer of Motor Matters. The man with a hat. I'm the man with no hat. He's the man with the knowledge. Thank you for watching.
On the road, the 2 is quite smooth and comfortable, considering it is a fairly little car. But it does handle nicely. I'm trying to give you the effect of the buzziness of the engine. I hope you can hear it. It is buzzy, but in normal mode, I'm quite comfortable with it. It actually gives you a bit of a sporty feel while you're driving, which you may not necessarily get from some similar cars in the same category. It's got nice handling. It turns in quickly. It turns in quite tightly. So if you're the kind of guy who wants to push it that little bit more, 85 kilowatts, 148 newton meters, you certainly can. Listen now as we go up a hill, and I think you can hear what I'm talking about with the engine when I do that, just to show you exactly what I'm referring to. Something I didn't pick up just now, or just to tell you, is on individual spec you do get items like auto on headlights, auto wipers as well. Now those are little features that you don't think about sometimes, but they're really nice to have, and that's the important thing. But overall, it is a little car with just that sporty touch to it, which I must say I enjoy. Taking a look behind the wheel, you'll see instrumentation is, well, sort of analog digital, can I call it that? It tells you what you can scroll through. Very important figure is that one over there. 6.7 litres per 100. We've done 453 kilometers on the test. That's not bad at all. A lot of urban driving, only a little bit of freeway, so I can pretty much predict most people can achieve figures like that. Individual spec also gives you a little pop-up screen over there, which does give a heads-up display, giving you various information on the heads-up depending on what setting you're in. So nice little features over there. Coming down to the steering wheel, you've even got, you can barely see them, but tiny little paddles for the gear shift. Not flappy ones, but paddles. And you have got, not active, but you've got cruise control, and of course all your other controls you expect on the steering wheel. I mentioned behind the wheel over there is your button for your push button stop start. Taking a look over here, you come over to the infotainment screen. Now this is a point where I think the Mazda 2 is showing its age. It's a small screen and it's plucked on top, as you may call it. So it is a little bit of a sign of the age. Also, it's not a touch screen. You use the rotary controller down here between the seats to operate it. Not a hardship, but it's just not, can I say, the latest type of systems. Work, and I suppose that's what counts. Press the home button, you can see you've got communication, you've got all your different functions. Navigation requires an SD card, which is actually an extra from Mazda. I think they should throw it in with the deal. Talk to your dealer, I'm sure he will give you one as part of the deal. But there you go, scroll through. It's very simple, very much like you would expect. You come down to the dash over here. Interesting, you've got the little section in the center which has got the Alcantara type material and the red stitching, just for detail. It's a nicely put together car. It feels nicely put together, and you've got good old-fashioned dials for your aircon system. Below that you've got two USBs, and specifically one for screen mirroring, as in Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, and you've got a 12 volt over there. And on individual spec you even get inductive charging pad over here for your cell phone. Android Auto, Apple CarPlay have worked nicely for me using a cable. I tend to not, whether the car offers wireless or not, I tend to not use that. I use the cable. I just find it better and more functional. You come down to your gear lever over here. It's a 6-speed standard torque converter automatic. It shifts nicely, it shifts smoothly, but personally I always avoid that button over there. And you're going to ask me why. Well, it's very simple. The Mazda engine is a buzzy engine at the best of times. You'll have heard it while we're driving. And quite honestly, sport mode hangs on to the ratios longer, changes the shifting points, and from my point of view, unless you want a really quick overtake in certain circumstances, I just find it adds to the noise, to the buzziness, and I quite honestly don't enjoy it. And you've got a good old-fashioned manual handbrake over there, fine as well. All of this, quite simply put, in a B segment hatch. It's well spec'd, that's for sure. Now this one will cost you 398,000 Rand. For the top spec model, I've mentioned a number of items you get on this that you won't get on the other models. You start at 308,000 for a manual active, and you go to 350,000 Rand for a dynamic auto, where you lose the leather and Alcantara, you don't get quite the same alloy wheels, and a number of other features you won't see, the inductive charging, etc. So it's a question of where you see it. But what you do always get from Mazda is a 3-year unlimited mileage service plan and warranty. And that's something that if you're planning to do high mileage, I would keep in mind. For Motor Matters, I'm Eleanor. See you next time.